It's happening. The September Nintendo Direct has been confirmed by Nintendo, and it is a proper General Direct. The one that will have Nintendo reveals, and will be the first such presentation since the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct over 5 months ago. To mix things a little bit up when it comes to these predictions, we'll go by the order or age of the franchise. So starting with Mario, which pretty much is already in the 40th anniversary. So be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press the notification bell, and let's continue. Since Mario could have a big presence in this Nintendo Direct, just like we saw with the 30th anniversary in 2015. Back then, we saw that Super Mario Maker concluded that presentation, and now there's a possibility of maybe a Super Mario Maker 3 reveal. After all, we've had this franchise on every generation, that is Wii U, Switch, and now Switch 2, so it would make sense. Such a reveal would not be for a release until sometime later, probably sometime in next year, but there is a possibility of a game that could come out this month, and that is Super Mario Galaxy 2, the game that was missing from 3D All-Stars back in 2020 or the Super Mario 35th Anniversary Collection, and it would be a perfect fit. Why? 4K 60 FPS. It will work perfectly with this game, which would look absolutely stunning. In fact, I think it could be the best looking Nintendo Switch 2 game if it has been properly optimized. There's a reason that game wasn't in 3D All-Stars back in 2020. They knew the potential of leaving it out and having it on the Nintendo Switch 2. Of course, it could also be a part of 3D All-Stars plus Galaxy 2, so sort of a Switch 2 edition, but I think the biggest potential here is of a full-on release late September. We don't have any game yet from Nintendo in September, so that would be a solid bet there. Another thing that could drop immediately after the Direct is Super Mario Sunshine, that has already been promised for GameCube Switch Online back in the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. I think that hints more and more towards that Galaxy 2 is going to be independent from 3D All-Stars, and that it's going to be a release of its own. Another thing that has been rumored is new Super Mario Bros. Collection. Then we have Switch 2 editions, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, of course the biggest bombshell of it all, the next 3D Mario game. What would make more sense than revealing the next generation of 3D Mario to mark the beginning of the 40th anniversary, and then release it during the 30th anniversary of the first 3D Mario game, namely Super Mario 64. Let's move on to the next oldest franchise, namely The Legend of Zelda, which is getting very close as well to its 40th anniversary. But first, this winter, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. And we really need to see, at this point, the release date, but not only the release date, but also the box art and official characters, renders, and art. Because we haven't had a single thing of those three. The release date, the box art, and official character renders art. We need that for Age of Imprisonment in the third trailer. That should be even more meaty, especially since we have this game present at Tokyo Game Show. Of course, Nintendo isn't there, but Koei Tecmo is bringing Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment with gameplay, with demo. We're getting a lot more of this game later this month. And then additional Zelda stuff would also be appreciated. We know that GameCube Switch 2 Online already has the Wind Waker, but there's potential for even more than that. Yes, the next 3D Zelda game that was also on the GameCube was Twilight Princess. But the anniversary of that game, so the 20th, is in 2026. And also, it might be saved for something bigger. I just don't think it's going to be a part of this Direct as a result. But there's another game that also came on the GameCube from The Legend of Zelda, and that was Four Swords Adventures. And the reason that works really well with GameCube Switch 2 Online is because it's a multiplayer Zelda. One that, yes, is a little bit controversial, but really meets the criteria of online, multiplayer, and so on. We still don't have Double Dash, we still don't have Melee, so if you're gonna give anything more Zelda to GameCube Switch 2 Online now, Four Swords Adventures would actually fit the bill, especially since it's very hard to play this game on the original GameCube release, and we haven't had much of it since then. Then we have the possibility of Switch 2 edition for Skyward Sword, so the Switch version running higher than 1080p, and also, as we saw in 2021, in 60 frames per second. And then the question is, could we get a remaster or reveal apart from that? Of course, the dream would be Ocarina of Time 4K. More realistically, maybe, if we're seeing a reveal right now, would be the Oracle games, and then in the style of Link's Awakening. But there's another franchise that also celebrates its 40th anniversary less than a year from now, namely Metroid. And just like in the case of Age of Imprisonment, it is finally time for the big Prime 4 Beyond blowout. not only saying 2025, but also giving us the final release date. We have the age rating, we have the box art, but we've been stuck with the same footage, trailers, and even demos that I played back in London since April. We need a massive update when it comes to Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. And I'm gonna hope still it is the Halloween game. It comes out in the end of October, or at the very least in the early November. December also works, but don't delay it out of 2025. Then, could we see anything added to Switch 2 Online? Prime 2 is a possibility, so that we can play Prime 2 before playing Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Moving on. Final Fantasy VII Remake integrates Switch 2 release date. Yes, I know Square Enix might be saving that for Tokyo Game Show, but the game was the most impressive third-party demo at Gamescom and PAX West, and it would be a massive bonus if we could finally have a physical release date for probably one of the best running third-party games out there. And could Square Enix also surprise additional? They have been very strong in the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, in the partner showcase. If they could deliver it now as well with something new, say the grand return of Kingdom Hearts 4 and confirmation for Nintendo Switch 2. I know this is dreaming, but it would definitely steal the show, that's for sure. But brand new reveals are the most important. And when it comes to Nintendo franchises, Fire Emblem is 35 years old this year, and we have had no new game here, or even DLC, since April 2023, since Fire Emblem Engage came out in late January 2023. That was before The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. By the time we enter 2026, we have gone 3 years from anything Fire Emblem, and as a result, I think this franchise is a really hot candidate to see a new game revealed for next year, looking absolutely stunning with the hardware power of the Nintendo Switch 2 and running like a dream on this next generation system. Kirby is 33 years. I think we are gonna get another trailer for Kirby Air Riders before the November 20th release. It makes sense to see at least a little reminder or update about that. And then followed by, say, the reveal of the long-rumored at this point Kirby Planet Robobot remaster in total, since it was originally a 3DS game, Pokemon. The 30th anniversary will definitely be celebrated, but before that one, I think we're getting a final trailer for Pokemon Legends ZA. This game has been present in all general Nintendo Directs in 2025, so that is to say, the final March Switch 1 exclusive Direct, and then in the April Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, confirming the Nintendo Switch 2 editions. I think this could be the culmination after all the Mega Evolution reveals, 1 month before the release of Pokemon Legends ZA. With that said, Pokemon is not alone with having big anniversaries, as Pikmin celebrates its 25th anniversary next year, and so does Luigi's Mansion and Animal Crossing. So can we hope for new reveals of these franchises? I think it is absolutely a possibility, since we have to remember, both Luigi's Mansion 3 and Animal Crossing, eventually New Horizons, were revealed in the same Direct in September 2018. Animal Crossing might be difficult to get. Instead, I think we're seeing Switch 2 editions, possibly even revealed right now for Pikmin 4 and Animal Crossing New Horizons. It would be a massive reveal for sure, and then, who knows, Luigi's Mansion 4. It would definitely fit if there's no new 3D Mario game reveal in this presentation. Another game that has been really rumored to come out on the Nintendo Switch 2, and including mentioned by Nate Hate, is Red Dead Redemption 2. And it would in that case be joining the 15-year-old this year Red Dead Redemption. Then we have another new game that could be in this Direct, and that is Monolith Soft, as they are celebrating the 15th anniversary of the Xenoblade Chronicles franchise this year. And it has already done pretty well by having all Xenoblade Chronicles games on the Nintendo Switch even before the Switch 2 release, thanks to Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. But there are hints, especially after Stealth noticed that a job posting from Monolith Soft was showing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 footage that looks better than it does on the Nintendo Switch 2 with backwards compatibility. So it is a possibility of Switch 2 edition upgrades, but also the reveal of a new game. Remember, we haven't had any new Xenoblade Chronicles game, or for that matter Monolith Soft game, since summer 2022. But the question is, are they taking a break from Xenoblade after all this time and finally revealing their new IP and franchise? You know, the one that has been teased for concept arts for well over a generation at this point. Then we have Splatoon. Splatoon Raiders is the only Nintendo game that has been revealed after Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. And we are in Splatoon's 10th anniversary, so after the first recognition, it would make sense to get a proper trailer for Splatoon Raiders, so the Splatoon spin-off, and what's more, getting a release window. Maybe not release date, but at least release window for this game sometime in 2026. Then finally, we have some third-party games. First, gameplay and maybe trailer of 007 First Light, that is IO Interactive's, and then of course Elden Ring might have seen improvements since the massive controversy that happened at Gamescom and PAX West. A release date is also in the cards, since From Software's Duskbloods, coming exclusively to the Nintendo Switch 2, is coming out next year in 2026. I think that might be skipping this direct, but who knows? There could be a good balance of first-party and third-party games in this presentation. Anyway, what do you think we're getting apart from what I've mentioned, and along with what I've mentioned in this September Nintendo Direct? Sound off in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, then be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press the notification bell. Last but not least, a big thanks to you for watching, and to all our patreon.com/commonrealm patrons. Special shoutouts go to Raw Producer, JC Funk, and Heroes, Cheryl, Garrett Hoy, Holly Wolf, and Kintaro. You all rock, and please enjoy these awesome videos.